The style of governance practiced by the Prophet Muhammad, known as the Prophet's era or the era of Rashidun Caliphate, serves as a significant model for governance in Islam. It is often referred to as the rightly guided or righteous caliphate, emphasizing the adherence to Islamic principles in governance. Here are some key aspects of the Prophet's style of governance. 1. Justice and equity. The Prophet emphasized justice and fairness in all matters. He established a system where justice was accessible to all, regardless of social status, wealth, or religion. His famous saying, "O people, your God is one and your forefather, Adam, is one. An Arab is not better than a non-Arab and a non-Arab is not better than an Arab, and a red, i.e., white tinged with red, person is not better than a black person and a black person is not better than a red person," except in piety encapsulates his emphasis on equality. 2. Consultation. Shura. The Prophet regularly consulted his companions on matters of governance and decision-making. He sought their advice and opinions, demonstrating a participatory approach to governance. This principle of Shura remains a cornerstone of Islamic governance. 3. Compassion and mercy. The Prophet demonstrated compassion and mercy in his dealings with people, including conquered populations. He prioritized mercy over vengeance, and forgiveness over punishment whenever possible. 4. Rule of law. The Prophet established a legal framework based on the principles of Islamic law, Sharia. This framework provided guidelines for all aspects of life, including social, economic, and political matters. He upheld the rule of law and ensured that even he himself was subject to its dictates. 5. Service and humility. The Prophet exemplified humility and service to the community. Despite being the leader, he actively participated in community activities, served the needy, and demonstrated humility in his interactions. Protection of minority rights. The Prophet ensured the protection of the rights of minorities within the Islamic State. He granted them religious freedom and autonomy in their affairs, provided they remained loyal to the state. Economic justice. The Prophet advocated for economic justice and fairness. He implemented policies to address poverty, redistribute wealth, and ensure the equitable distribution of resources. Overall, the style of governance of the Prophet Muhammad was characterized by justice, consultation, compassion, rule of law, service, and economic equity. It serves as a model for governance in Islam and continues to inspire discussions on good governance in contemporary times. There are numerous examples illustrating the Prophet Muhammad's commitment to justice and equality. Here are a few notable instances. Treatment of followers. The Prophet Muhammad treated all his followers, regardless of their social status, ethnicity, or economic background, with fairness and equality. He emphasized the equality of all believers before God, regardless of their worldly status. This was exemplified in his companionship with individuals from various backgrounds, including former slaves, merchants, and tribal leaders. Justice in legal matters. The Prophet Muhammad established a system of justice where the law applied equally to all individuals. There are several instances where he ruled in favor of justice, even if it meant going against his own relatives or close companions. One famous incident involves a dispute between a poor man named Al-Aqra ibn Habis and the powerful companion Umar ibn al-Khattab. Despite Umar's status, the Prophet ruled in favor of Al-Aqra due to the principles of justice. Equality in prayer. The Prophet Muhammad emphasized the equality of all believers in acts of worship. During congregational prayers, there was no distinction based on social status or wealth. Rich and poor, leaders and commoners, stood shoulder to shoulder in prayer, demonstrating the principle of equality before God. Treatment of women. The Prophet Muhammad implemented several reforms to improve the status of women in society, including granting them rights to inheritance, education, and participation in public affairs. He emphasized the equal worth and dignity of women, contrary to prevailing cultural norms of the time. Fair treatment of non-Muslims. The Prophet Muhammad emphasized fair treatment and protection for non-Muslims living under Islamic rule. He established treaties and agreements that guaranteed their rights to practice their religion and live in safety. The Constitution of Medina, drafted by the Prophet, explicitly protected the rights of non-Muslims, establishing a framework of equality and mutual respect. Personal example. The Prophet Muhammad led by example in his personal conduct, demonstrating humility, compassion, and fairness in his interactions with others. His humility was evident in his simple lifestyle, accessibility to the community, and willingness to listen to the concerns of all individuals, regardless of their status.